Welcome to The Social. My name is Lee Levy, and today I'm talking to international model and influencer Cassie Cameron, who is trying to make a difference in these difficult times with her exciting new adventure, the Mind High Club, that she has established to encourage people to find the best version of themselves. Welcome, Cassie. I'm so excited to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm really excited to be chatting with you too.
Can you tell me a bit about the Mind High Club and what it's all about?
Sure. So Mind High Club is all about connecting the very best healers, coaches, practitioners, and experts all in the mind, body, and soul space with you, depending on what you're after. So you could be someone that's looking to improve your anxiety or your gut health. You could be someone that's looking to up-level your potential with business. We're basically putting all of these amazing people in one place. You can easily access them and book in with them one-on-one and access their wisdom. So that's what it's all about.
Why did you decide that the world needs the Mind High Club right now? Obviously, of course, there's a lot of people suffering from anxiety and depression. Is that why you decided that this had to be the new thing?
Yeah, I mean, with everything going on right now, of course, it's never been more important. And we've also got this technology available to us to be able to do it, right? So really, this actually came through to me in a meditation, believe it or not. So it was almost like this vision was very, very clear about what needed to happen and was really based on my own experiences, but also the need of the time. You know, as you said, we've got suicide rates astronomical, and that's the world we're in, and I want to be a part of that change. And it was very clear this is what I needed to do with my life, and I'm out there doing it. So it's really exciting.
That is amazing. And of course, you are an incredible international model, very successful, represented by Chick in Australia and Ford Models in New York. So, you know, I see you have been all around the world, been at some of the most beautiful locations, flying around the world, and it really seems like you have the most amazing life. But I was wondering what was making you turn to like meditation, and like what made you go this way to meditation and mindfulness, and like what was happening in your life at that point?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So really, as you said, there was a period in my life where I was extremely busy. So flying internationally every 6 weeks, all these photo shoots on, demands with working alongside my husband and starting our first business. And really anyone that has started a business would tell you that there are a lot of unique challenges that go with that. And I was someone that was really learning on the job. So it was an incredible amount of things to do, and because I'm really driven and go-getter, it's almost like it's a classic story of trying to do it all and be all things to all people and be perfect and burn the candle at both ends, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. So that's what I was doing, and at the time I didn't have the tools or the grounding or the access to the knowledge I needed to really effectively manage all of those tasks. So what ended up happening was I ended up in this position where I'd reached complete burnout on all levels, you know, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. And then I was like, okay, I did it. I burnt myself out without even realizing it. And then that, you know, at that point I was having panic attacks. I was stressed. I was like, oh, how am I going to get through the day ahead? And that really forced me to look at how I needed to change my life and what tools did I need to access. And one of the first things that I found was meditation. So that's when I learned to meditate. And it was so profound, and it changed my life. And I don't say that lightly, it really did. And from there, it was like this process of continuous learning. And I sought out all different types of healers and coaches and got to know my inner world. And that's where this amazing transformation happened. And life was never the same after that.
Yeah, it's just interesting because I think a lot of people, they see this life as being so glamorous and beautiful and, flying around the world. And meeting some of the most interesting people, like you have like been on set with Kate Moss and Miranda Kerr and stuff like that. So it's interesting that people, you know, they find it so glamorous, but there's always a downside to it, you know. But how was it like seeing yourself on like billboards and magazines and TV?
Yeah, you know, well, to be honest, my experience with modeling has been, for the most part, extremely positive. And I've got, as you said, to travel to some amazing places, meet some incredible people, and really feel like I've got a rich experience out of it. And yeah, as you said, it is pretty weird the first time, you know, in London, seeing myself on the side of taxis or, you know, and advertising outside. And it's a little weird at first, but then after a while you kind of go, oh, okay, yeah, I guess that's part and parcel with the job. And then it would almost be like my friends would say they'd see it and I wouldn't really see it myself. But yeah, honestly, it's pretty fun, and I'm really just grateful for all the opportunities I've got out of it.
And how old were you when you first started modeling?
I was 18. I started not full-time at that time, and I really took it full-time at about 20 is when I really took it full-time and then started to travel.
Did you, were you discovered as a model, or did you approach a model agency, or how did it work?
Funny story, actually. I was in a beauty pageant. So
really?
So I don't know what made me do it. I don't know if it was a friend that said something, or anyway, I did it. This is in New Zealand, so really small scene there. And one of the judges was a talent scout for a modeling agency in New Zealand, and then invited me in for a meeting. And it wasn't something I intended to happen, but she invited me in, and then that was kind of it. And then when I always wanted to travel and explore different things, and I hated the idea of having a 9-to-5 job and working my way up in a company. And so I just took the opportunity, and it worked. Lucky for me.
And what is like the best job, if you can mention that you have ever done, and what is the worst job you have ever done? I guess your best job is being alongside Kate Moss, obviously, but
yeah, that was pretty. I mean, there've been so many beautiful jobs. A lot of my favorite ones being on location, because that's the fun stuff we all love to do. I remember one of my first favorite jobs was shooting alongside Miranda Kerr, because I'd always looked up to her, not just as a model, but as a person, with her holistic approach to life. And that really inspired me. So that was really fun. And that was when I was just starting out, really. Then from there, you know, there's been so many beautiful moments, but some of my favorite trips have been getting to go to places I may not have gone to otherwise. So for example, one of my favorite jobs was actually shooting for Corona. I mean, not that Corona, but we had a really wonderful week in the Philippines and got to go to remote places that weren't actually accessible by the public. And I got to, you know, dive into these crystal clear waters and go on this boat and go into the jungle with coconuts. And I just remember thinking, wow, if this isn't living, what is, you know? So those were my favorite types of shoots, where you really got to go somewhere stunning in nature. And there's been so many, and like that.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And the worst job, if you can say that, the worst experience you've ever had?
Oh, well, honestly, as I said, I don't want to come across as, you know, corny, but I feel like I've really had a great experience, and not all of my friends have, but I've really had a great experience. And I think the only jobs where it was a little tough is when the hours were really, really ridiculously long. Say you've done a red-eye flight from LA to New York, get off the plane, go to the shoot, get on another plane. One time I had to do 3 different states of America and then back-to-back international flights within 3 days. That was kind of nuts, but not the job itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, even though you know that you travel to so many beautiful destinations and just, you know, having so much fun on set, Have you ever felt lonely, like that you're missing your family or your husband? You must have.
Well, that's actually a really good question that not many people think about. But as you said, and I'm sure you can relate to this as well, traveling a lot, if you are alone by yourself a lot in a hotel room, you've got to have something else going on. And that's why I've always been someone I love learning. So I always have something going on, a course, and that's what I'm devoted to my meditation practice. And that's what really allowed me, I looked at it more as space to enable me to do that rather than necessarily being lonely. But of course, you are alone a lot of the time. And so I think that's what enabled me to dive deeper into these practices in this path, because I had so much space.
And so if we go backwards a little bit now about your past life, you were born in South Africa, right?
Yeah, in Durban, South Africa, yeah.
And then you moved to New Zealand with your family?
Yeah, I was 4 at the time. So I have a massive family in South Africa. They're all amazing. And I moved to Auckland, New Zealand when I was roughly 4 with my family, and then came over to Sydney and lived overseas and so on since then. But I came to Sydney for the first time, when I was 21.
And that's when you fell in love with your Aussie husband, right?
It's really funny. We skipped out on all of the dating apps and all that stuff. Honestly, we met in a cafe in Bondi. So,
wow.
it's one of those things where it was just so coincidental, but it wasn't, if you know what I mean. We just instantly clicked, and it was almost like that was it. And we knew straight away, you're my person.
I was going through your beautiful post with your husband this week, and I was reading, I love that you are writing really long posts, you're a very deep person, and I love that. So I was going through that post with him, and it was just so beautiful. It made me almost cry by reading that. And what you mentioned something about your mother, what she said, that you were asking her for advice when you were younger. About when do you know that this is the guy for you? So that was what I wanted to ask you now. How did you know that it was Matt?
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, because my mum always used to say that. She always used to say, you just know, stop asking me, you just know. And I had no idea what that meant, but that's because I hadn't yet come across that. So it's just this inner knowing. It's almost this intuitive gut feel where you're like, I just know. I don't have to describe it. It's just there, this deeper connection.
Do you guys meditate together?
Yes, we do. So we actually learned to meditate at the same time. Yeah, it's amazing when you get to connect and share that together. So he meditates, and he notices the days that he does meditate. Because he's an entrepreneur and very 100 miles an hour fast pace, he notices when he does meditate, he's unstoppable on those days. So it's really amazing to be able to share that with each other.
I read something on another post of yours about meditation, because I'm sure that you experience a lot of people, they talk about that they can't meditate for 2 reasons, that they can't find the peace to do it, or they can't find the time to do it, and it's too hard for them. By the way, I'm one of these people, so maybe you can give me some advice on that. But what is your one advice for meditation? How can it be easier for a person to do it?
So this is a common thing that people come across. It's you don't know how to meditate. I think we're led to believe that meditation, you need to sit there and shut off your thoughts and close your mind. And this simply isn't true. And what we're doing is developing a relationship with our thoughts instead that is from a different perspective. So if there are 2 things, so if you say you're not sure how to meditate or you can't, I'm here to tell you and share this message that you absolutely can. And it's a matter of connecting with the right type of practice, with the right teacher to guide you through it. So we have a lot of apps out there that are fantastic at introducing you to the concepts and the basic fundamental principles. And one of those ways of doing, which we most commonly refer to as mindfulness. But there's also a specific type of meditation technique which is very effective in going beyond the mind and allowing you to bypass all of that stuff, and absolutely anyone can do it, and it's easy and it's effortless. And this is the technique that I learned that completely changed my life. So any questions about that, of course, let me know.
I think I will join. I need to join the Mind High Club to get into all of that now, because I definitely need it.
Yes, and we have such a wonderful collective of teachers and guides that are there to share this with the world. And so meditation has been a huge part of my life. But look, the other part, as you said, is us always believing we don't have time to meditate or don't have time to invest in ourselves. And really, it's the opposite. So we all know this. The more that we invest in ourselves and expanding our own mind, the greater capacity we have to navigate life's challenges and to be more effective with our output in everything we do. So it's a matter of reframing that priority. You know, I'm going to invest in myself today, and putting it in the diary and just going, all right, I'm going to do this. This is the meeting with the boss, the most important thing I can do for my mind today, which is involved in absolutely everything I do every single day.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. And going back to your relationship with math right now, I forgot to ask you something, but what is, because it's really, through your Instagram, it really looks like you have such a strong bond, and you also do business together, I see, and, you know, going through the whole like life journey together, and it looks like you have a really perfect relationship. What is your advice to people on how to keep the sparkle in a relationship? I guess you have also been together, you know, 5 years. So what is your number one advice to that?
Great question. So my number one piece of advice, I think every relationship is so different, but if I can speak to my own experiences, I've noticed that the more that I devote to myself and looking at those aspects of myself which I wish to nurture, that nurtures the relationship. So if I feel like whenever we want to improve our relationships, it first begins with how can we first look to improve ourselves so we can give more to them, and it's just a natural process. And the other thing is laughter. So Matt is a comedian. He is so funny, and humor is honestly the best medicine. Laughing is the best medicine, and if you can laugh every day with each other, which we do, then I think you're winning.
And what about, I have to ask this, what about making out? Because you posted something for your followers that it's important to make out every day.
Making out. It's funny because that post was about this beautiful vegan restaurant in LA called Make Out.
Oh, really?
But making out, yes, absolutely. I think physical touch and connection is so important to a relationship.
It is important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And even
it is important.
Yeah, we get so busy and caught up with our lives, but that is so important. Even if it's just in the form of telling, you know, your husband, you look really good today, or I really appreciate you, I love you, you know, that shirt looks great on you. Little things like that can even be your make-out.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's important to always feed each other with love and appreciation, I guess. So I loved that you said that to your followers, because not many people actually will say that. So I love that you were just bold about that and just said it. It is important. That is really, really important. Yeah. When did you turn into social media, and why?
Social media became a really important part of modeling quite a while ago. So we were using it. I was using it initially as just simply part of my job description, basically. But then after a while, I noticed that it was actually a really useful tool and privilege of having a platform like this to share a more important message and impact people positively, and especially tell the world about Mind High Club and how there are so many different ways and so many different people they can connect with for their own personal growth and how they can overcome their challenges. And then when that light bulb went off, I realized this is an amazing tool.
I also like looking through your posts. I was like the first impression I get from all your posts and what you write is that you're such a positive person, you know, and you really focus on positivity and no negativity. And what have you ever have you been through some really negative things in your life where that changed for you, that you were like, I have to think positive and no negativity? Like, have you ever had like a really negative experience or through social media, for example?
Yeah, of course. You know, life is full of constant challenges. I've had so many different things go on and challenges to overcome, and we all do. And I think this is just a part of life. And the important part, as you said so beautifully, was where our attention is going is what's growing within us and where our energy is flowing. So it's always been an intention of mine to focus on the positive, because there's always going to be positive and negative. It's all there. It's just what we're choosing to pay attention to, right? So absolutely. And I think especially in those challenging times, it would be crazy to say they don't exist, because they exist for all of us on this planet, just in different forms, don't they? So for me, yeah, it's just staying focused on the due north, staying on the positive side of the coin, and just continuing with that, and we get through whatever.
Yeah, because it is important to face your negativities, because, you know, like people usually say that people only focus on the positive through social media. So I think it's nice that you talk about the negativities, because like you said, they exist, you know, and it's important to face them.
Absolutely. And you know, social media is a highlight reel. We naturally, we're beings that want to share positivity, and it's really important to do that, because there is a lot of negative messages out there in the world. So it's carefully balancing that with some reality as well. Hey, you know, even though I have got to fly to these cool places and have some fun doing what I do for work, wasn't without its challenges, you guys. We all have that. So it's really, I love to see people sharing their message and story. It's really inspiring.
I mean, what is happiness for you? That's also my question. Like, what is happiness for you, and what is the advice you can give to find peace and happiness, except from meditation? Obviously, that's a big point of it.
Okay, well, we'll just assume we knew I was going to say that already, because it's really the starting point for creating that inner well of happiness. But happiness is an inside job, truly. So what I've learned is, if we place our happiness or our perception of success on external things in our life, then that's going to be an exhausting and unfulfilling journey. So happiness is something we need to cultivate within. Meditation's a way to do that. Really, it's a recognition and realization of our true nature, and a creation of that, and as well as living your truth and staying true to who you are, what you're here to do, and living your own story, and instead of letting other people dictate how you live. I believe living an authentic life that's in line with your purpose.
Who inspires you?
So many people. So many people. I'm really inspired by a broad range of people, from all the amazing experts that are working with us via Mind High Club, because we've got amazing healers, we've got very skilled and intuitive coaches and practitioners of all these ancient and modern sciences. They're amazing, and I'm meeting people like that every day, and exploring all that there is to explore in the mind, body, and soul. So there's those people. There's thought leaders that are making breakthroughs in science, like Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza, amazing thought leaders in science and spirit. I'm inspired by powerful women who are coming out and starting businesses and leading in a whole new way. I mean, I meet people all the time. I know this sounds cheesy. I'm inspired by everyone I meet, but it really is true, because everyone has their own unique story. And I think it's really intelligent to be able to learn from everything and everyone. And yeah, you can find inspiration in everyone.
There is so much inspiration out there. You're right about that. I mean, you learn from so many people and get inspired from so many people. So name 5 influencers that you follow, your top 5 influencers.
Top 5. Okay. I absolutely love, as I said, following people like Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza, because that stuff is fascinating and directly tied to what I'm doing. I also love powerful activists out there who are women, just unashamedly themselves, like Emily Ratajkowski. She's absolutely stunning and sensual, but she's got a real substance and is not apologizing for what she's doing. I also love all these different, as I said, experts and healers. I mean, there's so many that I follow, so I don't want to highlight one specific one because they're incredible, and there are a few in my life. And I love people like, there's another influencer I connected with recently on my channel. We had a chat on Cassie's Convos called Jessie Golden, and she's real inspiration, overcome her arthritis all through natural remedies and really living and breathing and embodying what she does. So she's amazing. I love Lacey Phillips, who is someone out there really big in the manifesting world and has a lot to share there. So there are so many. So yeah.
What is your hope to achieve with Mind High Club?
Yeah, Mind High Club, our vision really is to, as our big overarching vision and goal is to empower humanity to a higher state of consciousness and really empower as many people as we possibly can to live happy, healthy lives and expand and really live in line with their purpose. So that's our big, hairy, audacious goal. And how we're planning to do that is launching our app in January 2021. And we've currently got, a program out there all about manifesting as well. And we're just doing lots of different things towards that collective goal. So it's really, really exciting.
And you were mentioning Wonder Woman. And like you mentioned that if you could quit your own job, you would become Wonder Woman. What is it that you love about her?
I love that. I think when I posted that, I hadn't yet started this journey that I've been on more so in the past year to really realize that the Wonder Woman is inside of me. And we all have that. So I would say, what inspires me about Wonder Woman is this rising woman who's unapologetic, strong, not afraid to lead and be wholeheartedly herself and just shine and not let anyone dim her light.
Well, you definitely show that. That's what I can see from you and looking at your Instagram. So you definitely show that. Is there any advice, like one advice that you live by?
There are so many. I think, and in the manifesting challenge we've created through Mind High Club, I've incorporated with Christy Whitehill, my co-founder, all of these different tools and things that is the best advice and tools we've ever been given, all in one place. But if I had to say you only do two things, it's meditate. I was going to say that already though.
Yeah.
And trust life. Life. So much suffering is created by us trying to over control and obsess over expectations and attachment to outcomes. But if we just let it go and surrender a bit and trust, then that is when things really work out more than we could have planned.
And to me, you seem like such a driven career woman, done a lot of different businesses, and you seem very, very passionate. So is there any other goals you have for your future?
I'm really in the moment with what I'm doing right now, so it's really hard to say because things evolve so naturally. But for Mind High Club, this is really, I feel, my passion and what I'm drawn to create into the world, and I feel like this is really, really big and just starting. So that is definitely going to be my focus for as far as I can see ahead, and I'm sure there are some more exciting projects on the timeline which will evolve.
And this is definitely, I think, what you have created right now, that's definitely what the world needs. Because we're going through a very crazy and difficult time. So I think it's a perfect timing that you're doing this and helping people.
It's never been a better time, especially if you're at home and you're feeling isolated and disconnected. Now is the time to be really using this time and this gift to tap into that stuff and ask yourself the hard questions. Am I doing everything I can for my well-being? Am I living a life that's in line with my values? And connecting and reaching out and joining a community and getting that support? It's the perfect time.
And my last question for you is, if you could give a young Cassie an advice, what would that be?
I would Depending on what age, because we're different.
Like, let's say a very young Casey, 10 years old. What would that advice, if you could give yourself an advice for the future and everything you have been through, because you have been through so much, what would you tell yourself back then?
Yeah, I would say be you, embrace who you are, forget the noise, and always trust your intuition because it's always right and you know, and you've got this.
Well, thank you so much, Casey. It was so amazing to have you here on The Social. I really, really enjoyed chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your beautiful questions.